Sure it is. Talk about that, but
Yeah, a few minutes early, they're still messing around, not on the bridge, but on the other side approach,
yeah.
with that mysterious sidewalk. No idea why there's a sidewalk there. Never ever seen a person walking.
No, but part of the work on the bridge is going to be adding a sidewalk to the
Okay.
bridge. And they, for some reason, think that that's going to encourage more walking.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will, but the question is, where are they walking to?
Well, they're walking up to the liquor
The
store.
liquor store, yes. Yeah.
DG. Those important things up there.
Yeah.
I don't
No, I do use the grocery in the River Valley.
Oh yeah, so do we.
It's getting better and better. So
You know, it's gotten to be for a neighborhood store really amazingly good.
yes.
And they have excellent seafood, and the meat counter has got good stuff. And,
So I'm happy. I had used their ancestor up in Higham when they were up in Higham on the corner. And then when they came down here, it was not so good for a while.
I think it was a different owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first version wasn't very exciting.
Yeah.
And the stuff they're talking about doing over in downtown East Haddam seemed ridiculous, but I'm not sure how much of that's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
But
well, I think they'd all like to be like Essex. Let's say.
Come on.
I know. It was the same some years back in Higham. They were going to refit the whole downtown. It was going to become a little oasis in there, and now it's
yeah,
barren.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, as has been said, the most important single element is location, location, location.
Yeah.
Almost always. So, do you have any particular questions?
Yes. The very beginning, I find that I'm not certain about any element of it. Yeah. So, the questions are how I'm sure I sink into the right way some, but how much? Is there much of a turn?
There is.
Do the hands go this way, that way? I just I've done it differently almost every time, I think, and that's not good. So
Well, it is because it has brought you to the point of being able to ask the question and be ready to receive the answer.
Yes.
Um, and that's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait till we sort of get to the beginning of class to when we come to that. I will definitely answer that. This form gets to be so subtle that it is sometimes a real test of staying present. Even this shorter version, the longer one, much more so. But even this shorter version, and that's part of its beauty.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to stay present, particularly with the following the G, et cetera, et cetera. They happen so fast that it's very easy to forget what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Here's Jeff.
Hi,
Hi. There you are.
I'm here. I made it. Sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
Morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Bill. How are you?
Okay.
So one thing I was going to ask both of you to do, by the way, is would you either email or text me your mailing addresses?
Okay.
If nothing else, Jeff, I can mail you hard copies.
Okay. Did you try sending it on the Facebook Messenger?
I haven't had a chance yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll do that after class.
All right.
And I don't know whether, how, I've never done that, but I'll see if I can do it.
Is it a video or is it just files?
It's just files.
Oh, it should be okay.
Well, we'll see.
All right.
I was annoyed at I'm constantly annoyed at my email program.
Yeah.
It has limits.
So does Yahoo. I have trouble with Yahoo all the time. I can't send videos or anything like that. It's too restrictive.
Yeah. Well, I can send them if I get them small enough.
Mm.
Okay. So I'll leave you there for a moment.
It's nice to be present for the Sim Talk.
Yeah.
They can barely hear them.
Excuse me. So Jeff, Bill has already given me his question on the opening of the forum. Do you have any specific questions throw into my thinking?
I'm probably a little bit unclear still on the footwork on the turning from one side to the other.
Yep.
I'd like to see that again.
Sure. So just a note that on these, I've given you 3 handouts on these four basic energy, 8 basic energy, excuse me. And all 3 of these really are looking at it from the standpoint of eventually going to push hands, which we are not, obviously, in this class. However, the information about the energies and how they relate to push hands is very valuable in thinking about form. So in particular, I want you to read kind of the general introductions in all 3 and the information about Hung, ward off. And next time you can bring your questions and we'll talk in more detail about it. I've given you the chapter from Master Zhou's book, or most of the chapter, the whole section about the 8 energies, including, this is the version that was edited by Dr. J. Dunbar and Almanzo Lamaro. And it's never been published. I may have the only copy other than that belonging to Jay and Lama. I don't know. But I have shared it with you because Jay has pointed out some things that are important in being clear about what Master Zhou was saying. And I'm just, because I want you to begin to start thinking about the energies, I'm going to just pick out 2 things to say about Peng, ward off, or the energy of Qian, heaven, the 3 solid lines and the trigrams, so the most yang of the 8 energies. And one way Master Zhou describes it as being like pushing on or sitting on an inflated ball, that when you push on it, it pushes you back in some way. The classic images that Bruce brings up are that it's the energy that floats a log or floats a ship. So it's a rising, outwardly moving force. And we see that clearly in the opening when we go to Peng, because that first movement of Peng is clearly a rising, outwardly moving force. It's going up. If you think about the Yang style, when you go into the Yang style, that first approach to Peng is clearly a rising, outwardly moving force. So in both styles, that appears right at the very beginning. And so that's what you're trying to feel in terms of the internal energy moving within that piece. And obviously, as you can see in the Wu style, it's much faster, quicker, shorter, more subtle than it is in the Yang, which of course leads to its own difficulties, but it does occur, it does happen. So that's just a little bit. I will try to get those to you as quickly as possible, Jeff.
Okay.
And unless you have a specific question at the moment, I think that's all I'm really going to do with that right at the moment.
This is really good. I mean, being that I had such a long hiatus from doing Tai Chi and thinking about it daily and all. I appreciate the reviewing that we're getting into now of each of the energies and the other things like this. It's very helpful for me.
Good, good. It's good for all of us.
Yeah.
I I have to say that I had not read this chapter of Master Joe's book. It may be a year or two since I've read it. I have read it repeatedly, but I hadn't happened to read it recently.
Mm.
So I really enjoyed reading it. So, pulsing. You had a particular question about pulsing, which we were beginning to look at in terms of our work in the standing meditation. Pulsing is really, at this stage, simply activating bend and stretch and twisting in our movements and lengthening in an effort to, as I said, really function as a pulsing of the energy, of increasing its strength of flow in our body. This is obviously, if you think about it, very closely tied into opening and closing, which is the spherical opening and closing of each joint in the body. And that is certainly eventually the level of pulsing that we want to arrive at. I don't intend to try to teach opening and closing in this class. It's usually done when we do Marriage of Heaven and Earth, and training the beginning of opening and closing takes about a year. So it's not a quick
Right.
not that we can't approach that later on if we wanted to, but I certainly would not try to do it initially.
Right.
So just so you're aware of that. So I think my question to you, Jeff, is are you clear about what we mean by bend and stretch or extend and twisting and lengthening?
I mean, I could always use more of a review. I think I'm relatively clear on it as far as, you know, originating the movement originating from, you know, opening up the scapula and going through the arms and things like that, and what we're doing. I think I have a decent understanding of it. I'm sure I don't grasp it all yet. You know, it may not make sense to sit here and try and go through it all specifically now, but as we do it with each posture or with each exercise, the more you talk about it, the more it will become innate with me, and I will understand it better.
Okay. So I'm just going to, for a moment, go rather quickly through those movements.
Okay.
And try to be clear about the bend and stretch.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. So you're probably free at this point, but so when we begin, we begin with a bend and a stretch, and the pulsing is a circular movement that includes a bend and an extend. And then we have a bend going to the second position and an extend, and then a very similar circular movement of bend and extend, and then bend and extend to con water. And that movement is pretty much a vertical movement, but the same connections through the body. Then up to leave fire, bend and extend. That's kind of a clear one. And so the pulsing movements all have pretty much the same elements. Then we go to sun. So here we're bending and extending. And then again, that circular movement, making sure that the elbows are moving the scapula. And then up to Zhen, thunder. And then down to gun, mountain. And that was a little different because the bend is coming in kind of a curve in and then out into that position. And then those circles bend and extend, and then into Dewey. And this is perhaps the most difficult one, and you have to maintain the space between the hands and the body, keeping the hands aligned with those side channels, and bend and extend. So just a little quick review of that. So let's stand up and do it.
So on this, David, are we aligning either the breath or the drawing in and extending of the dantian with the bending and stretching, bending and extending?
So generally, you would inhale on the bend and exhale on the extend.
With the long breath.
I'm sorry?
With the long breath, the regular breath?
Yep, absolutely. We're always using the longevity breathing, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you want to play with reversing the breath, that's okay. It can also work that way, but it is for most of us a little more difficult.
Right.
To do that.
Okay.
But there's no problem with experimenting and seeing what works best for you.
Okay.
And I'm interested in what happens if you do that.
Okay.
So stepping out, coming into your basic alignments, and just taking that moment to land in that spot. And indeed establish that longevity breathing as fully as you can. Without effort. And aware of sinking the chi through your body. And then extending your mind through your body. Becoming aware of the flow of the energy. And then beginning. Bend and extend. And go right into the pulsing. Don't let there be any break. No pause. And then continue right into Corn Earth. Extend and pulse. And bend and extend to calm water. Bend and extend. And then to leave, fire. And then down to sun, wind, wood, things that penetrate. And up to Zhan, thunder. And bend and extend to Gun Mountain. And up to Dewey. And then close. Crossing the wrists, dropping down, dissolve to the Laogong points connecting to the dantian. And step back together. Okay, so questions?
Can you refresh me on why the sequence is a little bit different than what we were doing in the other class?
We had progressed in the other class to the second sequence,
Okay,
which the second sequence is in the order that they appear in the form.
yeah, and that's the sequence I always remembered, was that other one with Thunder being the last one and, coinciding with our,
The advantage of this one
yeah,
is that you're working with the pairs of energies so that each pair you have its opposite, and that makes it somewhat easier to begin to feel the difference in the energies.
oh, okay,
So they're really working with different intentions.
okay. That I did not know, thank you.
Mhm. So any other questions at the moment? So the one thing, Bill, because he's here and I can see him while we're doing this,
Right,
provides me an opportunity to point something out, which I'm sure if I could see you as I was doing it, you would also provide me with opportunities, but
yes.
oops, didn't mean to do that. I had,
Can you see me?
well, I did. So one of the difficulties in the pulsing is getting the circular motion. And what I noticed with Bill was a very clear bending and stretching, but it was pretty straight. Yeah. And you may have been intentionally emphasizing the bend and extend because that's what we had talked about.
That's what I was accustomed to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we really want to find with every movement, particularly in the form, but also in this, how do we round everything? Master Joe was big. He would suddenly in the middle of class, he would say, round your corners. And so we're constantly looking for how do we keep the movement connected in a round fashion. Where are the circles? Where are the curves? Where are those spherical connections? It is never really linear. So even if you're emphasizing the bend and extend, you want to find how does that bend and extend circle? Where is that circular motion? And that will lead you, hopefully, eventually, particularly next week when we add twisting, to being able to push the scapula in towards the spine and pull the scapula away from the spine, so that there is not only a circle this way, but as you can see with my elbows, the circle is also of the elbow is also spherical. It is not just a flat circle. So we're always looking for that. So try to be aware of that as you work on it. Other questions at the moment?
No.
Okay. So Bill asked about the very beginning
Okay,
of the form. And I certainly understand his question. He was looking for the specifics of what happens with the feet and the arms and the weight,
Right.
body. What's
I cannot see below your knees from this angle. So seeing your feet isn't, I can't see your feet.
oh, I've got the wrong camera on. I'm sorry.
Okay. I didn't know if it was the chair or the camera angle.
No. Uh, Thank you, Jeff. Always speak up
That's good.
about that.
Okay. Perfect.
That helps, huh?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So first, just thinking about the body. All right, don't worry about the arms for a moment. So there is a rotation as you to the right as you sink into that right foot. And it's probably a little hard to see on Zoom, but I am dropping to my base level. That level that we want to work at primarily. Obviously, we have some up and down that appears, but basic level is what we want to arrive at to begin with. So I am going to 100% on that right foot in my at my base level, and then rounding my corner to step out, and then rotating and shifting. And remember that Pung arrives before you get to your full bow stance. Ji is where the full bow stance occurs. And then Liu is that shift forward, and on is after you stepped up.
When you go into on, David, and is there a little bit of a rise in that?
Not really. There is an opening.
Okay.
So
I guess you can clarify that when we add the arms in, we can
yeah.
clarify that.
So let's just do that. Okay. So and I'll do it with you. So just bend your arms at the elbow, find it comfortable, and just let them stay focused forward so you can see your rotation here. So you're rotating right, sinking and shifting to 100%, and then rotating a little left to step out, rotating and shifting, and you're not going entirely to your bow stance. So what I would say is about 90% of the way towards your bow stance, and you turn not quite forward, and that's where Pung occurs. And then you continue to rotate and shift forward to your full bow stance, and that's where Ji occurs. And then you shift forward to 100%, and the toe comes forward, and Liu occurs during that movement, and then on occurs as you're standing there. So did a question come up for you there?
No, but observation that I was doing Pung much later. When I got up here, I thought, so this whole movement is Pung. Yeah.
So just watch me for a moment. I'm going to do this so that I end up facing the camera. You want, one of the important things here is that the rotation continues through Peng to G. You continue to rotate and shift all the way through that, through those two postures. Okay.
And that is the end of rotation there, right? After that, it's
Yes.
okay. That was my question.
So let's just do that one more time. Rotate and shift, seeking into the right. Step empty to the left. Rotate and shift. Peng, G. Continue forward, Liu. So did that answer your questions? There,
Yes.
I mean, that much? I know you need the arms too. Anything for you there, Jeff?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So now when the arms are going to continually move through here. So as you are rotating, shifting, and sinking into the right, notice that the arms are extending and twisting outward. So this would, if I were to do this fast, this is obviously a deflection when we think about martial application, okay? So it's rotating, twisting, expanding out, and there's a little twist in as you step, and then it twists out, out. There's a little in and an out into G. And then as you go forward with your follow step, the arms twist in and out in a small circle, almost coming back to the same place you were at G. And then with on, there is an expansion here. The elbows curve out, the scapula spread, the arms rotate more, palms forward and down. And I realize you can't see a thing.
No, I was peeking.
Oh, good.
The right foot stays planted before you step in.
Ideally,
Okay. It doesn't, the heel doesn't come up.
if you find that when you have stepped out, here for your, hopefully for your bow stance, and that your right knee starts to twist, you can allow it to have a twist step. Okay. But it's a turn on the heel. Okay. Ideally not, but okay, whatever needs to be. Yeah. Do not twist your knee.
Yeah.
You've learned that lesson, I'm sure. So let's do this again. I'm just going to turn towards the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So what's actually eventually we do want to happen before you even start to move is that you arrive at a point where you can have opening and closing occurring in your arms and body and legs, and this is without muscular effort. This is just an energetic opening and closing. So eventually that's the actual beginning of the form. And when you have an opening and you're ready to begin, you sink into that right leg.
Is this, David, something is coming back from memory. Is this what we're?
What?
Something is coming back to me from my distant memory. Is this what, that very beginning part where you're talking about the energy moving without us actually physically moving yet? Is this us going from Wuji to Tai Chi?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because that came back to me all of a sudden, and I'm like, I think this is what this is.
Yep, you're right.
Great.
But we'll go straight into the movement. So sinking into the right, step with the left, rotate and shift to Peng, Ji, continue forward, follow step Liu, on. Now, answering your question earlier, Jeff, I'm going to come up close to the camera here.
Okay.
I'm going back to G.
Yeah.
So Liu is very small. You want to know about on. It's not going up like that, but it is an opening in that the elbows are spreading, the scapula are spreading, the qua is opening, the arms and hands are rotating slightly downward.
Okay.
So the difference between on and G is pretty much the attitude of and the intent of the hands and energy. Okay. Did that answer your question, Jeff?
Yes. So G is more forward.
Yep.
On is very similar, but the hands become more even and the intent and the energy is downward.
Yeah. You know, one of the ways that both Master Joe and Bruce talk about the the four basic energies is that Peng is upward energy, Liu is back or sideways, G is forward, and on is downward.
Mm.
Now that's simplifying because actually any of those energies can go in any direction,
Right.
just to be confusing. But basically, they are up, down, out, and back or sideways.
Right. Okay.
So I'll just throw that out for your. So your next question, Jeff, was about the footwork between left and right sides.
It was, but before we move to that with what we just did still, I was a little bit unclear at one point when you said there was a little bit of a twisting inward and then back out. Or bending inward.
Well, that was going from Peng to G.
Right, and when you said that, you were facing the other way, and I couldn't actually see what was that specific little movement.
In order to do that, to work on that, and you might want to wait a while to do that, but
Okay.
you really have to slow it way down to get it.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you're simply trying to think it,
Yeah.
it will never happen.
Oh, okay.
So you've stepped out with the left.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this slowly. You're coming up into pung, and then there's a little in and out to G. And it's very small.
Why is it there? What is it doing?
Why do we have yin and yang?
Why do we have yin and yang? I mean, it's for balancing out each other.
Yeah,
Because there's always some yin and yang, always some yang and yin.
absolutely. And we've gone to a very full form of yang.
Yeah.
And now we're going to transition to another, actually very yang.
Okay.
It's it is more G is two yang and a yin,
Yeah.
but the way it is described by Bruce and a number of other people as well is that very often G is a double pung.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
G is the energy of all strikes, whether it's with hands or feet or whatever.
Right.
And so it's a very strong outward force. But if you notice that G has a yin in the center of two yang, that's exactly what's here.
Oh. Okay.
You have the yin and the yang. Boom.
Right. Okay.
And
That helps me understand.
and also the yin well, I don't want to get too far into this, but the yin is also Liu.
The yin is also
So you have ward off, roll back, G.
okay.
So it's a very small rollback, if you will, in between
Right.
pung and G.
It's really not a physical rollback, it's just an energetic rollback so that we can go back into the yang of G.
Well, there's a little physical too, but yes, it's primarily energetic, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Too much information. I'm trying not to get too much. Okay. So let's do left and right, and I'll talk through that transition.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting when we go from left to right, sometimes there is a step and sometimes there is not. When you go between grasping sparrow's tail, left and right, there is no step. So that is really across the board. So usually when we begin with this form, I just say begin Tai Chi. And we shift and rotate into the right. Step left. Rotate and shift to Pung. G. Forward to Liu. On. Now, you want to start to turn so that right foot turns on its toe so it's about straight. And then you keep turning as you pick up the left toe and turn on the left heel to approximately straight, whatever is appropriate for you. And then as you go into the left foot, the hands come down and you step right. And then you go into the right pung G, U, question? Question there, Jeff?
No, no.
So do that a few times and let me just observe you for a moment before we go to a single whip. So two things I would say, Jeff. Remember, you want to keep rotation through G.
Okay.
And when you do on, think about it coming from the back through the elbows, not the hands pulling the arms out.
Okay. And I still haven't gotten that little slight
Well, that was better.
bending in there in between. I'm trying to.
Oh, well, that, yeah, that can develop later. That's not a big deal here.
Okay.
Try it again. Yeah, that was better. And the arms don't,
I'm sorry,
the
go ahead.
arms don't need to go out quite as far and on.
Okay.
It's not so much the extension of the arms as it is the extension of the scapula and the spine and the elbows.
Okay. Question that just arose for me. When we are turning around and we're compressing the ball, are we actually compressing the whole way, or do we compress and then kind of hold it?
Actually, you're pretty much compressing the whole way.
Okay, so I need to do that much more slowly then, because I
Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
was
Yep.
there. I just kind of held it the rest of the way. All right.
And when you reach the point that you begin to shift into the left to step with the right, you're going to begin to release that.
Okay. That's when the hands start to drop, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the ball releases and there's a little more separation. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, you condense the energy and then it's beginning to expand, and it's going to continue to expand all the way through Pung.
Okay.
Better. Keep your elbows a little more down. Think about the elbows. We want the elbows to always be at most up 45 degrees, not
Right.
more.
I think I was overcompensating with making sure that I expanded from the scapula first.
Yeah.
So I was over. Good, thanks.
Yep. Okay, so the big thing that you have is you going back and forth.
Okay.
But you do what you were doing.
You want me to illustrate?
Pretty much forward to here,
Yeah,
and then it was kind of back and G, and then back and Lu, and back and on. And it's not, it's all forward. When you get to that step, it's Peng, G, Liu, on. Okay. There is no going back. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
no, it's a variant of what was going on last week, apparently.
Yeah.
That I still have them somewhat disconnected.
Yeah. That of course all has to do with weight shift. You know, I'm feeling like you're thinking of you as back and forward. It's out. It's just spread, boom. Get rid of that energy to the side, on.
Okay. Yeah, I was doing it forward and back. That's what.
That's what I'm talking about. But this is what it is that.
Yeah, okay. Because I was thinking of you as an empty,
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
So here we're not so much, and yes, you're absolutely right that absorb, that's Bruce's word for rollback. Yeah. But in this case, your absorb is absorb and release to the side, and then boom, down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Try it again. Better. It's
Kind
coming.
of like, yeah, coordinate the stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna have to work on that one to this.
Yeah, and the I think one of the certainly for me at one point, one of the problems is that you feel like there ought to be more up in a way.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be. You're at this point, you're just going to 100%. That foot can drift forward, if you will.
Okay.
If you notice, when I go from G to U, I'm not moving that leg by contracting those muscles. I'm moving that leg by releasing. Because I've gone to 100%. Better. Better. And the movement between tongue and G, if you're going to try to get that in there, is not back and forward. It's just like you. You've gotten to here, it's out and more out. Okay. It's out to the side and forward. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Hmm?
There's a lot.
Yeah, well, I obviously been going back and forth on each of them.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. So that'd be a good thing to work on.
Yeah.
So, question?
No,
Not kidding. I've confused you enough.
no, I mean, that,
So. Can you absorb another posture?
Yep.
So let me demonstrate it. So this goes from this into single whip, big surprise. So we've gotten to this. Now you're going to start with the same body movement that we did going between left and right, but you're going to let that turn the foot. And then you're going to rotate and shift onto it, bring the ball in and condense it, open it back out again when you go to 100% on the right. And at that point, you start to turn left and reset the right foot, and the hands condense a little more. And then as you rotate and shift, turning a little left, you go in the single whip. And this is, the energy is called lié, and it's split. So in the Yang style, we have this. Here we have this. In the 8-gate form, we have this. So, so the tricky part here is the back and forth. So if you go onto your right foot, the completion of that right grasping sparrow's tail, you're going to rotate left, staying at 100%, and setting the left foot down, stepping it slightly out, and facing pretty much straight ahead. And then you're going to rotate and shift onto it, and you let that turn the right foot in a little bit. And then you feel that movement come in, condense in closer to the body. And as you go back onto the right, it goes out to 100%. And then as you turn left, coming back in, you reset that left foot on an angle. And then you rotate and shift. And you're not trying to turn in the direction of the left foot. You're turning just part way. So you're not facing straight ahead, and you're not facing in the direction of your left foot. It's in between those two.
David, when you finish that stance, what is your weight distribution?
About 60-40 on the left.
Okay.
So the tricky part here is that you're doing, in effect, a figure 8, and you all know where the figure 8 comes from. So we're going in, out to the posture. So if we're out here on the right foot, we reset, and this is going out and starting to come in, rotate onto the right, going out, rotate left, coming in, and keep rotating left and shifting onto the left foot. So you have to keep the rotation going. So you step left, rotate, turn the right leg, come in, rotate and shift out 100% onto the right, turn left, coming in, reset, rotate and shift to the posture. No. So what you did was this, it's a little hard for me to see. You're facing this way.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so here's the front of yours. Okay. So we do that first turn. Okay. So I think you're trying to turn that foot. Okay. So all you're doing here is resetting it. Okay. To straight. Then you're going onto it, turning the right leg first. Then you're going on to the right and reset the left for the posture, and then onto it. Turn the right foot. Yeah, don't turn too far. Okay. Really important that the whole purpose of those turns and steps, or the whole purpose, one purpose is to save the knee. Okay. So here, step, turn the right leg, rotate on to the right, and reset the left. In the single way. Question, Jeff?
I don't think so.
But I have you up there, don't I, instead of me?
No, I can see you.
Well, let me let me get a little more of me up there. No. Mhm. So when you put the left foot out for the posture, what you just did was, if I go back to here, you did everything fine. You got all the way to here, and then you went step. Okay. Body moves the leg. Okay. And then goes up there. You turn to the left, moves the leg. The leg does not lead the arms. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So you got to this point, and still going this direction, you turn that way. Okay. You want to get to this point, and it's this turn. One way to think about that is that obviously this could be a kick, but you want to drive it with the body if it's going to be a kick. Yes. Aha. Good. Did you try that, Jeff?
Okay.
Good. You want to end up turned a little bit to the left, though, not straight ahead.
A little more? Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I could, that looked fine, except only thing I couldn't see was you used the turning of the body right away to turn that right foot in.
I think so, but let me try it again.
Because I can't see your feet.
Okay, so is the question like, I'm starting with my body,
Step,
is that the question?
nope. That was setting your left foot.
Yeah.
Now, as you rotate, turn the right.
Yeah, okay, right, just stop turning, and I'm turning back this way.
Yep,
Now I'm turning this way and setting left again. And stop.
good, good. Okay,
Thanks.
yep. Now, let me do this sideways to you for a moment and watch my arms. So done on, push downwards. So now we're going to reset the foot. Don't turn it too much, David. You're going to rotate the leg, draw into the body, and you're condensing more. And then you're going to go out to expand as you go onto the right foot. Condense again as you reset the left on an angle. And then using the rotation and shifting of the body to drive into single whip. So you're looking for that figure 8. Seems like it makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't. So step, rotate, the ball is coming in, turn the leg, the ball is expanding out, it comes in as you reset, and then rotates and rises the single whip. That was pretty good. As soon as you have done your reset, this begins to expand all the way. And it only goes to here. It doesn't go to here. It only goes to here. This would be young style. We're only here. Nothing to it.
Yeah, David, I may need to see you doing it, to see your hands facing me.
Okay.
When I try it, I'm not getting a figure 8 at all.
Yeah, take a look. So turn, you're condensing in, turn the leg, expanding out, reset the foot, condense in, and then that immediately starts expanding to single whip.
As
Now-
soon as you start turning to the left, you're expanding on the last move, the last rotation, or is this just,
The first thing is the foot resets.
yeah,
So you got to 100%.
yeah,
The foot resets, and there's an in, and then out.
okay. So from the moment that your foot is reset, at that point, you begin expanding out.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was not getting that at all the first time.
The left hand, we don't do a closed finger blade here. This is open
Right,
blade. The left hand is going out in the same line as your left foot. And the right is just balancing it. And they're pretty much equal
okay,
in this form on the body. One of the things to watch for in doing this is that you don't let yourself cross the center line of the body with the opposite arm. So even that rule, even more strict, if you will, in this style than it is in the Yang style. Each hand can come to the middle, but it does not go across the center line.
Hmm. Okay, that's good.
So let's do it once from the beginning. So begin Tai Chi. So spiral down into the right, arms expanding a little. Step left, rotate and shift to Peng. Keep rotating and shifting to Ji. Shift forward, Liu. Turn right on the toe. Condense. Turn the left on the heel. Lower the arms and step the right to the corner. Rotate and shift to Peng. Continue to Ji. Liu. Turn left and step. Rotate and shift onto it. Turn the right on the heel. Rotate and shift, expanding out onto the right. Reset the left. And expand to single whip. Oh, good.
Remember how complicated this is.
So, questions? Okay. Jeff, a question?
No, I've just gotta practice that second, the part we just did needs a lot of practice still.
Okay,
So,
we'll have a good week of practice.
thank you.
Send me your address.
Okay, the snail mail address, you mean, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna start collecting them because I find now and then I need
okay.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Take care, Bill.
Yep, have a good week.